Hey, e-commerce marketing podcast listener. I wanted to let you know that we have created a 6-month guide to marketing your e-commerce store. You can download this guide by visiting getosi.com/guide or by texting GetOSI to 33444. This guide will show you how to get more traffic, sales, and conversions for your online store. Get the guide right now by visiting getosi.com/guide or by texting GetOSI to 33444. Welcome back to the e-commerce marketing podcast, everyone. I am your host, Arlen Robinson, and today we have a very special guest, Jeff Cohen, who has over 15 years of e-commerce experience. Currently, Jeff is CMO and partner at Seller Labs, where he works with more than 50,000 Amazon sellers, providing software solutions and expert advice. As an international speaker, Jeff is regarded as an industry expert who is constantly asked to share actionable intelligence on how Amazon works and how sellers can improve their business. Welcome to the podcast, Jeff.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, you've got quite a bit of experience there. And I know, of course, you are an expert in selling on Amazon. So why don't you tell me a little bit about how you got started, a little bit about your background so you can enlighten our listeners on where you are today and how you got there.
Sure. Let's go throwback style.
All right.
I was developing corporate web pages back in the early mid 2000s, and I was working for a division of Barnes and Noble in the textbook space.
Okay.
And they came up to me one day and they were like, "Hey, we have this project. We want to develop a retail website. We have this really cool domain. It's called textbooks.com. Do you want to run the project?"
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. So in 2006, I started putting the business plan together and built the team to launch textbooks.com, which kind of moved me from a general marketing career in communications to an e-commerce career. And when you develop a website like textbooks.com, you become an e-commerce expert overnight. So as soon as the website launched and I was the general manager of the site, I was all of a sudden, a rock star e-commerce person, which was kind of funny because I really didn't know much about e-commerce besides the fact that I hired a really good team.
Okay.
And I did a good job of managing them. Turned that into a multi-year career running a price comparison site. So kind of on the affiliate side of the business, I ran one of the largest textbook price comparison websites.
Right.
And in doing that, I connected with the co-founder of Seller Labs. Originally hired him to be my programmer.
Mm-hmm.
And then about 10 years after that, he hired me to come and run marketing and sales for Seller Labs.
Okay, wow.
So we kind of got our start in the physical product business, buying products from USPS auction. So This is kind of a funny story, but all the stuff that is mailed to you and never shows up, it falls off the truck.
Yeah.
Ends up in a warehouse in Atlanta, Georgia. And back in the early 2010s, they used to do physical auctions for that product. So you'd go into the warehouse. It was almost weekly, these auctions, and you'd go in and you'd look at the product. It was a kind of like storage locker wars, right? Same concept. You can look, but you can't touch. And then you decide how much you want to spend on it.
Yeah.
And you buy the product, and then you got to ship it back to your warehouse, start kind of tearing it apart. So a lot of the products we would sell on Amazon, a lot of the products we would sell on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
We built that business up to a multi-million-dollar sales business.
Okay.
We were running a 15,000 square foot warehouse and realized that we really liked developing software more than we liked physical products.
Okay, gotcha.
So we kind of closed the physical products side of the business and started pivoting to being a software business. So in 2013, we launched our first software. For those in the Amazon space, they're probably familiar with it. It's called Feedback Genius. It helps you solicit feedbacks and reviews for your seller account.
Mm-hmm.
And then we followed that up with a tool for listing optimization called Scope. And then our most recent tool is an advertising management platform tool called Ignite.
Okay.
So today we work with 50,000 Amazon sellers. We're one of Amazon's largest third-party software developers. And, I get to speak a lot in the space about Amazon, selling on Amazon, e-commerce. It's, really fun.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Yeah, and kind of getting back to where you got started. Yeah, that's interesting. I never really knew that, and I never really thought about it. All those items that get lost in the mail, they got to go somewhere. So how does the U.S. Postal Service handle that now? I mean, is there a physical auction still, or is it online? How does that work?
Yeah, they've moved that all online, which makes it a lot more. What used to be fun, now it's online, so everybody can set up tools to bid and have people in their office work on it. But one of our best purchases that we ever made was Brandon, my co-founder. He would stay at the auction for the whole auction.
Okay.
He always kind of was looking, we would buy the books at the beginning, and then he would kind of stick around and he'd buy a container of Legos, a container of jewelry. He would just kind of buy other stuff to just have fun, right?
Right.
So one day he had stuck around and they came back at the end of the auction and they were auctioning off a semi full of textbooks. And something happened. So the person who had bought it, like his payment didn't go through or something like that. Essentially, we were able to buy what normally would have sold for like maybe $90,000 to $100,000. We bought for like $35,000, $40,000.
Wow. Okay.
So if you stuck around, you got some really good deals. You could buy, we bought jewelry once and had to kind of dig in and find out whether it was real gold or whether it was fake. And you kind of got good at figuring out by eye what was in these boxes and what the value was. Okay.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I never really knew how they thought about how they handle that. But yeah, it's interesting how you got started in that particular aspect of selling and buying. Now, I know, of course, you've got a lot of experience with Amazon. It's kind of what you're doing right now. And a lot of, I know, our listeners that are out there listening are probably in a mix of spaces, whether they're selling directly on their site, have an e-commerce solution on their site, but they probably are have even thought about dabbling in Amazon. But for those that really are just trying to think about, is it worth getting their feet wet and selling on Amazon? Like, where do they even begin? How does somebody begin selling on Amazon? What is that process like?
Yeah, so, like everything in this world, selling on Amazon is harder today than it was before, right? I had to walk uphill both ways to do it when I was your age. There's ways to do it. There's ways to kind of dabble in it. And what I always tell sellers when they're trying to get started is you just have to go do something. You just have to get in and start trying and figuring it out. So when I was getting started, I wasn't sure. There's so many different ways to sell on Amazon, right? So you can sell what's called retail arbitrage, where you go to a physical store and you buy the product and then you sell it on Amazon. There's online arbitrage, where you're doing the same thing, but you're shopping from stores online. There's wholesale, where you're developing relationships with different wholesale companies. There's private label branding, which is where you're bringing products in from overseas. So obviously each one of those requires a different amount of effort and upfront cash to get into it.
Right.
There's tons of resources online. I was having a conversation with somebody in the industry about courses, and I don't think there's anything wrong with courses. I don't sell a course.
Okay.
But most all of the information that you would need is all online. You can see it all on YouTube. If you need a little bit more of like a step-by-step how to do something, then a course is a great way for you to get that kind of step-by-step how to do it. There's a lot of tricks and stuff to it, right? There's a lot of stuff you can't buy today that you could buy before. So there's brands that you just can't buy. So if you just think, I'm going to go to sale at Toys R Us, I'm going to go buy a bunch of toys. Toys R Us is going out of business. I'm going to put those for sale on Amazon and I'm going to make a bunch of money.
Right.
You just might run into a few roadblocks that you just weren't considering. And that's why I tell people just to go figure it out, because most people that are successful on Amazon started out with something really small and really simple, right? There were 2 or 3 years ago, there were a lot of stories about people who started their business on $100.
Right.
They went to the store and they bought $100 worth of products, put it on Amazon and sold it. The best way to start selling, bar none, download the Amazon seller app and start walking around your house and find things in your house that are in the box that you've never opened.
Okay.
List them for sale on Amazon or put them on eBay, right?
Right.
Just start putting something up to start getting used to understanding with how the system works, what the fees are really like, how the payment process works. and stuff like that. And then you'll start to kind of pick up little things along the way where you can iterate your process to make it more successful as you want to grow.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes total sense. And I usually stick to that rule of thumb with most things. When I talk to our customers that are looking at various types of online marketing and are trying to get into different things, I always say, start small before you do anything, whether it's your advertising on Facebook, you're trying to experiment with Google AdWords. Yeah, you don't have to put the whole farm out there to get started. And it doesn't really make sense. And so I think what you said is very key, that, you can just get some items in your house that you've never opened, just so you see what the process is like, what is it going to take, and then just kind of scale it up from there. See what you learn, see what you have to do. If you want to put, a certain amount of inventory on there, what are you going to make on it? And yeah, that really makes total sense.
Yeah, I mean, so many people want to dive in. They want to pay a couple $1,000s from a course. They want to start putting a bunch of money into inventory. I'm not saying that doesn't work. I'm just saying that the first product that I sourced from China, I lost money on. It was a major learning experience for me. I had plenty of good guidance along the way, but I still messed things up. The first product that I brought in from China, it ended up being 1 inch too long. So I ended up hitting the warehouse and it ended up being an oversized package. Well, when you're an oversized package with Amazon, you have different inventory restrictions.
Okay.
So all of a sudden I had all of this inventory sitting at the dock and I couldn't ship it all into Amazon like I was planning on doing. Mm-hmm. So I had to ship to a warehouse, have the warehouse then reship it into Amazon because of my inventory restrictions. I got charged a different level of fees than what I had originally planned. If I had put the product in the package diagonally, it would have cut 1 inch off the length of the box. It would have saved me over $1.50 per unit.
Oh, wow.
And so all of a sudden, a lot of my profit got eaten up by a small little mistake.
Yeah.
You have to go into it realizing that you're going to make those mistakes and that, it's the future that is where you're going to learn from that to make more money on the next thing that you do.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you would never have known that, until you kind of dived in and sold the product and got through getting it shipped and fulfilled and all of that. And so,
right.
Yeah, those are just
exactly
lessons learned that just come with just getting out there. Now, once a business has, like you said, gone through the steps, maybe started with something small, and then kind of know what it takes to get it out there and decide to put a portion of their inventory out there and, start selling. Like, what do they do? What are the next steps to optimize the marketing and advertising for the products that they have on Amazon? Because just from looking at the outside in, it does seem like it could be a little intimidating because, you're competing against not only Amazon, but all of these other sellers.
You're not really competing against Amazon. I mean, okay. This is where you have to break it down. Are you selling somebody else's product and you're fighting for what is called the buy box?
Okay.
Right. So that's when you click buy now. Mm-hmm. Or do you have your own product and you're fighting for optimization on Amazon's search?
Right.
So there's two different paths within that. If you're selling somebody else's product and you're competing for the buy box, you don't really have marketing that you have to do per se, because marketing only works if you own the buy box.
Right.
So what you have to do is you have to really optimize your account, because your account metrics ultimately determine whether Amazon's going to sell your product or somebody else's. Amazon's goal, and this is what everybody has to remember, Amazon's goal is to match a buyer with the desired product that they want, giving them the best experience possible.
Right.
And everybody always wants to know, like, how do you make Amazon simple? That's it. That is the simple formula that has made Amazon one of the largest companies in our history, right?
Right.
They have found a way to match buyers' desires with suppliers' products. And so if you own your own product, it all becomes kind of a feedback loop. That's the way I like to describe it.
Okay.
And so you have to start with optimizing your product for search. That's your title and your bullet points. Then you have to start optimizing for conversion. That's your photos and your enhanced brand content, your description on your page.
Okay.
Then you have to optimize for traffic, which is using sponsored product ads or headline search ads. Those are tools that Amazon has. They also have coupons and other kind of internal tools. You also have to consider within traffic the idea of driving external traffic. We could do a whole podcast just on that.
Okay.
But if you own your own website, you have your own traffic, why would you ever want to send it to Amazon, right? That's a question a lot of people ask.
Right.
Well, the reason why is because Amazon is the 5th largest media outlet in the country. The amount of traffic that Amazon has is gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
If you can use a little bit of your traffic to help generate sales of your product on Amazon, they're going to give you and reward you by giving you more of their traffic.
I see.
So when you talk about traffic, you have to talk about advertising, but you also have to talk about driving it in from external resources. And then finally, you got to close that loop with feedback. You got to get reviews on your product, and you have to use those reviews to help you build a better product for the future.
Gotcha. I'm glad you mentioned the advice about the traffic, and I never really realized that's kind of how it works, because I know a lot of e-commerce businesses are like, all right, why would I want to direct any of my traffic through Amazon? But I mean, it makes perfect sense, like you said, and that's, I guess, part of their whole algorithm. If you're getting more traffic in searches for that particular product that you have, then they're going to reward you with getting more views and things like that. And so
Amazon's algorithm is really based off of sales velocity. Okay. A product that is selling more indicates that Amazon that is something that people desire. And remember, we said at the beginning, Amazon's goal is to match a buyer's desire with a product that meets that need. Gotcha.
And then their whole goal is to get it to that person as seamlessly as possible. And so that's their whole process. Yeah, that really makes sense. And speaking of actually getting it to the product, to the customer seamlessly as possible, and they do a great job of doing it. I mean, really, are there any disadvantages in selecting to have Amazon fulfill your orders versus you fulfilling your orders?
Well, back in the day when I was running textbooks.com, I was part of a company that was a 300,000 square foot warehouse delivering books all over the country. And what amazed us about Amazon back then in 2005, 2006 was how cheap they were able to process and deliver packages.
Right.
And they've only gotten better at that over the last 10 plus years. And, if you're selling a product, you want what's called Amazon Prime, right? You want the Prime badge.
Right.
And the way to get that Prime badge is to have your inventory in FBA, which is Fulfillment by Amazon. There are ways to get the Prime badge without having your product in Amazon, but most people, especially when they're getting started, are going to use Amazon as their fulfillment channel.
Okay.
I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who owns a backpack company, and he said to me, well, why don't I just list my products on Amazon but not ship them into the warehouse? And I said, when it comes down to it, Amazon Prime shoppers, and there's been unsubstantiated rumors that 55% of households across the United States have Amazon Prime.
Oh, wow.
Amazon Prime shoppers are higher income individuals. They are more loyal to the Amazon site. They only shop for the Prime badge. They look for it. Even if they're buying a more expensive product that has free shipping, they want Prime. They want 2-day delivery.
Yeah.
So what are the disadvantages? The disadvantages are more what are the disadvantages of not having your inventory in there, which is that you begin to alienate a large number of the shoppers who are only looking for that designation.
Sure. Yeah, that's really what I thought, because I might know just from my own personal experience, anytime I'm purchasing from Amazon, that's all I look for. If it's a specific item, when I do a search, I will select Prime only. And even if before I've done that and I've seen that a product is fulfilled not by Amazon, I may pass on that. I may just say,
maybe if it's the only thing, maybe if it's the only option you have. I'll give you 2 examples here. One, I was buying something for my son the other day.
Okay.
And the product was no longer available with free Prime shipping.
Right.
That product went from being, and it's a heavy liquid product, right?
Oh, okay.
That product went from being something that I bought on repeat order from Amazon to something I went to the store to buy.
Okay.
because the cost of the product to pay for shipping just got too expensive and I didn't want to pay for it.
Right.
The second example that I like to say is that Amazon has changed the way we as consumers shop, right? So I like to say there used to be these really big things called shopping malls, right? Remember those?
Oh, yeah.
In our teenage years, we would get dropped off at those malls and we would cause a bunch of trouble until our parents would pick us up.
Basically.
That's about all they're good for today.
Yep.
Because, I went and purchased a product online from Target, and 5 days later, I got an acknowledgement from Target that my product shipped.
Oh, wow.
5 days after that, my product arrived. So 10 days. In that period of time, I made 3 or 4 additional orders from Amazon and had them delivered.
Yeah.
I forgot I ordered the product. My wife said to me, she goes, "Where are the sheets?" I was ordering sheets for my kid for summer camp. She goes, "Where are the sheets?" I go, "I swear I ordered them. They're supposed to be here. I swear." I wrote a whole article on LinkedIn about it because it was interesting because I was like, I wanted to kind of chronicle about how we as consumers have a totally different mentality to how internet shopping is supposed to occur, because we now have this immediacy that I'm going to order it, and today is Friday, right?
Right.
We're recording this on a Friday. It will be delivered to me on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
They basically have spoiled all consumers, unfortunately. Right. So, like you said,
so if you have your own e-commerce site and you're gonna and you get an order at 5:00 on Friday, the odds are you won't even process that till Monday.
Yeah, exactly.
And my product's going to be delivered on Sunday. I mean, do you remember the time where you couldn't even buy liquor on Sunday, and now we get packages delivered on Sunday?
Yeah, it's really unbelievable. They've changed the entire landscape and the way people think about ordering online. And like I said before, they've really spoiled everyone. So these other guys, like you said, Target in your example with the bed sheets, and Walmart, I mean, I don't know, unless they do some drastic
Well, they're starting to, right? Like Target just bought a company called Shipped. Walmart is starting to do package pickup at the store, right? So they're having to conform to the new normal that Amazon has created.
Yeah, exactly. So they have to make the changes. I mean, that's the only way that they'll be able to survive for sure. But as far as speaking on different products, you mentioned a couple items. Let's say the bed sheets, for instance, that you ordered from Target. There's a lot of businesses out there listening, selling a variety of different products in a variety of different niches. Are there any certain products or types of products that typically do better on Amazon versus others in your experience?
Yeah, so Amazon used to be a bookstore, right? Now it's really an everything store. And so it's hard to say. There's definitely products that are going to sell higher volume because more people are looking for them, but all types of products do well on Amazon. The key when you're looking for a product that you want to sell on Amazon, the key is, what are you doing to make that product better?
Right.
That's the key. So I can sell the same garlic press as the other 2,500 people selling a garlic press on Amazon. But if I can do something to actually make that better, I can innovate the product, I can bundle it with other things, I can make a color that isn't currently being made, then I have a much better chance of succeeding than just trying to put that product online.
Yeah.
And have it compete. Because what's going to make me stand out? What's going to make me differentiate? And it's kind of been lost in the world, right, of Amazon. And, one of the ones I like to show, or I like to talk about, is the pimple poppers, right? You know about Dr. Pimple?
No, what is that actually?
You'll have to look that up afterwards, and then you'll be like, that's disgusting. But Dr. Pimple has become this like YouTube craze amongst like millennials of like videos of people pimping popples.
Oh, okay.
Popping pimples. Don't even edit that. It deserves it to be messed up.
Tongue twister. Right?
There are 408 different versions of pimple popping products on Amazon.
Wow.
So are there people buying these products? Yeah. But if you go and you look at them, they all look alike. Nobody's done anything different.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go get this product and bring it to market, what are you going to do to make your product different? And if you can't answer that question, maybe these are all 9-packs and you're going to offer a 24-pack. Maybe all these are plastic and you're going to do stainless steel. Maybe all of these are, I'm just kind of making stuff up here, but you've got to come up with something that's going to move the product along and give people a reason to buy from you versus buy from everybody else, because there's only so many people looking for this product on Amazon. I like to say you cannot generate demand on Amazon. The demand on Amazon is captive to the number of people searching for a product.
Right.
So what are you going to do to make them want to buy from you versus buy from somebody else?
Yeah, that really makes total sense. I mean, like you said, there's so many of the same products out there. I mean, I've had this case where I'm looking for something and, I'm like, all right, why would I go for this seller over the other? It's the same product, it's almost the exact same description. And it's like, unless there's something added there that's going to make me say, oh, okay, well, then this particular seller is offering a 2-pack and it actually comes out cheaper per product with a 2-pack. I've had cases like that where it made sense for me to just go ahead and get a 2-pack as opposed from buying it from another seller I was going to pay a little bit more buying it, a single pack. So
here's a great example for your listeners. I have a friend who sells laser tag guns.
Okay.
And he actually talks about his story. So if you go to sellerlabs.com/traffic, there's a link to hear about his whole story. So I'm not sharing anything he hasn't shared on his own. What he did, right? There are several hundred suppliers of laser tag guns on Amazon.
Okay.
What he did was a couple of things. One, he took the laser tag guns and he took it and turned it into something different. What he turned it into Capture the Flag. And by turning it into Capture the Flag, he looked different than the other 664 people who were online selling the product.
Okay.
So now you look at yourself and you say, well, I don't want to buy the regular laser tag set. I want to buy the Capture the Flag laser tag set, right?
Gotcha.
Or I want so what are you doing to make your product different? What are you doing to innovate your product to be something else? And that's ultimately what you have to figure out, because the competitive landscape is very tough.
Yeah, and that's a great example, because essentially it's the same laser. In that example, it was the same laser tag gun. It's just the way he packaged it. He had that interesting game into it.
Exactly.
Where even though it was really the same hardware that you're actually getting, is just that game that he kind of tagged along with it, Capture the Flag, made it seem a little bit more interesting. I'm like, wow, okay, I've got a laser tag gun, but it's a Capture the Flag set as well. And so,
and a lot of times you're talking about an add-on that's going to cost you pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
And it adds so much value to what you're selling.
Yeah, for sure. So Jeff, if you could give one final piece of advice, to any e-commerce business that's considering selling on Amazon, what would it be?
I'm going to go back to the simple one of say, take action.
Okay.
You and I have been in this business for a long time, and we both talk to so many people who are interested in doing something, who have an idea that's the next $1 million idea that had the idea before somebody had the idea, right?
Right.
The key to all of that is taking action. That's what makes that's what makes one person successful and another person fail. And if we can't take action and be okay with failure, then we're not going to succeed. And we have an interesting motto at our company. So we have 42 employees. We've developed 4 different softwares. We work with 50,000 Amazon sellers. Mm-hmm. And we tell our employees, it's part of our pillars of success. We tell our employees that you have to make decisions based on the data that you have. Mm-hmm. You'll never have 100% of the data to make a correct decision.
Right.
So you need to use the data that you have at the time to make the best decision possible, and then adjust your decision based on the outcome that comes from it. And we really seek to empower our employees to make those decisions, from our customer service reps to our product managers to our engineers, because we understand that we're going to make mistakes. We understand that we need to innovate over time. And so if we're constantly trying to be perfect in everything that we do, we actually slow down our ability to be productive with what we do. And so that'd probably be the two pieces of advice that I would give.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's really great. That's an excellent piece of advice. Both pieces, yeah, for sure. And I know our listeners will appreciate it. Well, Jeff, we definitely appreciate you joining us here on the podcast. All of the information you provided, I know, is really invaluable, because I know a lot of listeners are in the same boat and they've been considering Amazon and didn't know what it took. And you've given some great actionable advice. So now if anybody wants to get in touch with you, how do they do it?
Yeah, I'd say there's two ways. One is to follow me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So Jeff Cohen, I'm the one who, I think if you type in like Jeff Cohen Amazon, or I can get you the link and you can add it to your show notes. I post on LinkedIn pretty regularly. Sellerlabs.com also has a blog, sellerlabs.com/blog. It's a great way to just kind of follow our insights in industry knowledge.
Okay.
We don't cover a lot around getting started, right? So that's not necessarily who we tailor our message to. Most of our customers have already gotten started.
Okay.
If you're looking for kind of the raw how to get started in the space, there's probably three people I would recommend. First is a guy, his name is Scott Volker. Scott runs a podcast called The Amazing Seller.
Okay.
The second one is a guy named Jim Cochran. Jim runs a podcast called, Jim's going to kill me for not remembering. I'm sure if you just Google Jim Cochran podcast, you'll find it.
Okay.
Silent Jim. Silent Jim is his podcast.
Okay.
And then the third one is a guy, his name is Will Mitchell, and he doesn't have a podcast, but he has a website called Startup Bros.
Okay.
Like, yo, bro, what's up?
Okay.
A lot of times there's also a fourth one that a lot of people use called amazing.com. They've been around for a while. And a lot of people say to me like, well, why do you offer 4 or 5 different ones? And the reason why really comes down to there are different people and different personalities that match with different hosts, right? So if you really want to get into podcasting, I would tell you to check out amazingfreedom.com.
Okay.
Right? So it's like, what do you want to get into? And who do you connect with? Because they're all really good. I know all of them personally. They're not selling snake oil, right? They actually want their students to succeed, and they give a ton of value and content for free. So those are probably the ones that I would recommend you kind of get started by listening to. And like I said, start listening to them and kind of see who kind of matches with your personality, because you'll see that in listening to them, they all have very different personalities.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's for sure. That's one of the things that I've recognized. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and it's just always certain hosts that you resonate with and you're a little bit more receptive to. So yeah, I really appreciate you giving all of those podcasts that our listeners can go ahead and check out. Okay, Jeff. Well, thanks a lot again for joining us today on the e-commerce marketing podcast. We appreciate your advice and your tips. And yeah, we wish everyone well selling on Amazon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the e-commerce marketing podcast. To access e-commerce videos and other resources to help your business grow, please visit getosi.com/videos. Subscribe to us on iTunes by searching for e-commerce marketing podcast, and please leave a rating and a review. Thanks for listening. See you next time.